Mozart of Catamarca, the Agustín Tapia story. He moves like he's floating across the paddle court, feet quick, body twisting mid-air, completely in control. And just when you'd think he's out of options, his wrist flicks, and boom, the ball rockets past his opponents, landing in the one spot no one can reach. It's ridiculous. We've seen him do it a million times, yet somehow it never stops feeling like pure magic. That's Agustín Tapia, the Mozart of Catamarca, making the extraordinary look like child's play. But who is this guy shaking up the paddle world? How did a kid from Catamarca, Argentina, go from playing for fun to becoming the world's #1 at just 25? Let's rewind the clock. Some time ago, a tournament final is about to start, and this 12-year-old boy is nowhere to be found. Not because he's nervous, not because he doesn't care, he's just busy playing with collectible cards with his friends. His parents have to track him down to remind him, hey, you've got a final to play. That was Dario Agustin Tapia Nieves, just a kid who happened to be ridiculously good at Padel. Born in 1999 in San Fernando del Valle de Catamarca, Tapia didn't follow the usual path of elite athletes. No rigid training schedules, no specialized academies. He'd just play at the local club with his family, hang around for barbecues, join some tournaments. Nothing fancy. Makes you wonder how someone with such a casual approach ended up dominating the world stage, right? Well, those early days in Catamarca weren't just about developing his skills. They shaped who he is. Friends say he was always the same. Exceptional talent, but zero pretension. He played because it was fun. Simple as that. But talent this rare never stays hidden for long. The thing is, how does a laid-back kid from a small Argentine province end up as the guy everyone in the paddle world can't stop talking about? At 13, Tapia faced a brutal choice. Stay in the comfort of Catamarca with the mountains, the family barbecues, the familiar courts, or leave it all behind to chase something bigger. But this is the price of greatness that nobody sees on the highlight reels. The transition was rough. His coordinators would try to arrange for him to stay after tournaments or come early for preseason, getting proper training for a few months at a time. It just didn't make sense to them. How could this kid play at such a high level without consistent training? When he moved to Rosario to develop his game, Tapia lived right across from the club. Convenient, sure, but imagine being a teenager living away from everything familiar. Then his coach Andres stepped in as more than just a coach. He became family, setting meal times, wake-up calls, training schedules, all the structure a young talent needs when home is hundreds of miles away. So the big question was hanging in the air. Could raw talent alone be enough to make it in the cutthroat world of professional paddle? Barcelona, 2013, World Junior Championships. A 17-year-old Agustín Tapia steps onto the court with partner Lucho Olivares. Those watching saw something different. Not just skill, plenty of juniors have skill. This was something else. A teenager playing with the composure of a veteran. Like he'd seen it all before. Tapia's real introduction to the pros was pure guts over glory. During the qualifying rounds of a World Paddle Tour event, he tore an abdominal muscle badly. Every changeover, he'd look at his partner, desperate to stop. Let me quit, he'd plead. But they kept pushing. Every shot sent a fresh wave of pain through him, making the injury worse. Tournament officials tried to step in, said he shouldn't continue. But when you've traveled 10,000 kilometers for your shot, you don't back down. So he played through tears as breathing became torture. Somehow, they kept winning. They faced Campagnolo and Dineno in the main draw and won in 3 sets, even saving match point. Then comes the twist. In their next match, just when Tapia and his partner were about to throw in the towel, their opponents quit at the start of the 3rd set. The emotion hit both young men like a wave. They just broke down crying, part relief, part disbelief at what they'd pushed through. So this effortless genius you see now, it's built on a foundation of pure grit that most people never see. When the big moments came later in his career, that mental toughness was already battle-tested. But what happens when a rising star gets the chance to play alongside his heroes? Does he shine brighter or get lost in their shadow? Most athletes never get to partner with their idols. Fewer still can hold their own alongside them. Tapia, he found himself playing with padel royalty when he was barely out of his teens. Juan Martín Díaz, Fernando Belasteguin, Pablo Lima, legends of the game. Midway through 2019, Fernando Belasteguin, already a padel icon, became Tapia's partner. It was an intense pressure, but together they did the unthinkable. Won the Madrid Master that September, giving Tapia his first pro title at just 20 years old. The next year, they conquered the Master Final in Menorca, making Tapia the youngest Master in history at 21. These partnerships fast-tracked his growth, but man, the expectations were crushing. When you're playing with champions who've been dominating for years, people expect results immediately. Yet Tapia had this weird ability to stay calm. While veterans would get tight in big moments, he'd play with the relaxed focus of a Sunday practice session. The pattern continued as he formed new partnerships with Pablo Lima and then Sanyo Gutierrez. More titles, higher rankings. But it was when he teamed up with someone from his own generation that things really took off. Arturo Coelho and Agustín Tapia are now a padel pair. That announcement hit the padel world like a thunderclap. Two of the brightest young talents joining forces with one goal: take down the kings and claim the throne. Plenty of people doubted them. Could they really challenge LeBron and Galan, who'd been ruling the rankings for 3 straight years? But those who'd seen Tapia evolve knew better than to bet against him. From their first tournaments together, you could see something special brewing. February 2023, Abu Dhabi Master. They beat LeBron and Galan in the final. Statement made. Then came wins in La Rioja, Chile, Paraguay. They weren't just winning, they were building a steamroller. What made them click? Their styles just fit. Coelho, people describe him as an animal with 1.5 measures of power, physique and technique, all raw strength and consistency. Then Tapia, all artistry and innovation. Shots that shouldn't be possible, angles that shouldn't exist. Together, unstoppable. The leadership dynamic was interesting. Tapia, slightly older, found himself in an unfamiliar spot, being the steady hand. On court, he became the playmaker, the one controlling the ball's path with surgical precision, while Coelho hunted for attacking positions. They represented something fresh, young, fearless, playing with joy instead of pressure. But could they handle the heat when everything was on the line? Vigo, Spain, May 14th, 2023. The Vigo Open Final. Tapia and Coelho versus LeBron and Galan, the reigning kings. 4 of the best players on the planet, all in their 20s, battling for supremacy. First set, Tapia and Coelho cruised to a 6-3 win. Looking easy, too easy, because champions don't fold. LeBron and Galan, with 4 years of experience at the top, fought back hard, took the second set in a tiebreak. Third set, pure drama, every point a war, every rally stretched to the breaking point. And through it all, Tapia stayed eerily calm. While everything around him was chaos, he made clean decisions, even steadied Coelho when nerves crept in. After saving 4 match points, Tapia and Coelho created their chance. What followed was one of the most insane points in padel history. Volleys, lobs, smashes, all 4 players reaching supernatural levels. When the final ball landed, Tapia collapsed to his knees. Years of sacrifice, all the nights away from Catamarca, had led to this, world number 1. After hugging his coach, he moved to the stands where his family watched, crouched down and just let it all out. The emotion was for everyone who'd supported his journey from provincial kid to global star. This wasn't just another title, it was vindication for a different path to greatness, one that valued joy and intuition alongside discipline and power. Because of that, they call him El Mozart de Catamarca. Perfect nickname when you think about it. Like Mozart with music, Tapia has this innate genius for padel that can't be taught, can't be copied. His ability to find winning shots from impossible positions, to see the game 3 moves ahead, to execute shots with both power and delicacy. It's transformed him into something bigger than just a sports star. With Coelho, he's built one of the most dominant partnerships the sport has seen. After claiming the top ranking in Vigo, they kept rolling. Victories at the Rome Major, Madrid, P1, and more. By 2024, they were the team nobody could figure out how to beat. At 25, Agustín Tapia has already grabbed what most athletes spend lifetimes chasing. World number 1, major titles with multiple partners, a style of play that's enviable on a padel court, and he's nowhere near done.